Hey everyone, Ashley Mailloux here with the Daily Racing Form. Saturday at Santa Anita Park is a tremendous card, a lot of stakes action. In the feature race, of course, is the Grade 1 Santa Anita Derby. It's their sixth race on the card, a mile and an eighth on the dirt for 3-year-olds. And going to do a stakes preview here for the race. We'll look at the field overall, and they actually got a good number of horses in this race in terms of 9 runners expected to go this Saturday. You can see morning line favorite, No Shock, the number 5, Practical National Treasures in the field, as well as Skinner and Go Rocket Ride as the main horses outside of the 8-5 favorite. So as I mentioned, 9 runners. It's a great field. Let's jump right into it with the number 1. I Don't Get It for Doug O'Neill. This is a horse that took a couple cracks to actually graduate and get the job done, but we can see he was able to do that in that third career start most recently. And actually, that was going a mile and a 16th. Prior to that, only went 6.5 furlongs and a mile on the main track, but stretched out quite nicely last time out, got an 87 Beyer speed figure. But it's no shock that going from maiden special weight competition to a Grade 1 in that one big swoop is a really tall task. Now, this horse seems to be working out well, but I just think the waters are pretty deep to kind of face winners for the first time. The number 2, Dazzle Me Silver. This one, the DeSorma brothers going to team up here. This horse is a maiden entering this race. Has 2 third-place finishes, one at 6.5 furlongs, one at a mile and a 16th. Slightly different trips. At least last time out, this horse was a bit more closer to the front end, kind of pushing the pace throughout, which just was third best. As I mentioned, though, this is a maiden, so similar story to the horse on the inside. These are some deep waters to kind of be facing on Saturday. Now, the number 3, Go Rocket Ride. This one out of the Richard Mandela barn was a winner on debut at 6 furlongs, and then more recently raced in a Grade 2 event. And I wanted to show the replay from that race on March 4th. And this is a key race to note. The number 3 is Practical Move. The number 8 in here is Go Rocket Ride. The number 10 is Skinner. So it's a key race for these 3 horses that all battle out again. And just looking at Practical Move, the front end horse obviously is able to put in a big performance here, but I thought Go Rocket Ride, even though this one's in defeat here, still runs a very strong race overall to finish second, just simply second best. And this horse seemed to kind of stride out nicely once again, approaching the wire, which I thought was a positive sign. And just now knowing that this horse is going to go 2 turns for the second time in his career in start number 3, I think this horse could certainly improve. So to me, Go Rocket Ride, maybe a bit of a sleeper in here, and not in terms of the morning line. I think just everyone's going to kind of have their eyes on Practical Move, but Go Rocket Ride is certainly one to look at. Number 4, One in Vermilion, big long shot in here, 50-1 on the morning line. We'll take a look at his most recent race. Now, there's been a barn switch since that effort on March 26th, so a quick turnaround for this runner. In this race, he was the number 5. Also exiting this race is Low Expectations, who is the number 2. And in the case in One in Vermilion, this is a horse that really tired in this race, ends up finishing 5th. In the case of Low Expectations, this one is able to hang on for second in here and runs a decent effort. I just want to show this race because it is a key race for both horses, but for One in Vermilion, he's really nowhere to be seen at the end. And actually, the big thing to point out with the race as well, it was a mile and an eighth. A lot of horses haven't gone that distance, but with this quick turnaround, he's actually had that experience at a mile and an eighth. Now, I mentioned all eyes on the number 5, Practical Move. It's not shocking why. His last 2 efforts, they've been tremendous, both at a mile and a 16th. He ran very well last time out off the freshening. We saw that win in that Grade 2 event, and he just was able to draw clear of the field. He ended up beating Skinner and Go Rocket Ride. He got 100 Beyer speed figure for that effort, so he improved a tremendous amount from the start 2 back to that next start. I just really love the way he won over Santa Anita going long, but to look at another race from him, we'll look at that replay from that late race at Los Al. Now, it's in the Grade 2 Los Al Futurity. In this race, he is the number 4. And just to see what he's able to do in here, he's able to kick on pretty nicely. And for him, prior to this, he'd gone 7/8, he had gone a mile, but this was his first time going that mile in a 16th distance. And he did have to kind of work for it in the end. But once he's able to put away his foe in here towards his outside, he was just much the best in this race. And I think looking at the trips that he's gotten, he has been close to the pace. He's been able to close from off of it. He's just a really versatile type that I think looks extremely tough in Saturday's Santa Anita Derby. And the morning line, though, you're going to have to swallow a short price on Practical Move. The number 6, National Treasure. This one now in the barn of Tim Yock Teen. Was a winner on debut at Del Mar going 6.5, and since then he's had 2 tries at a mile and a 16th. He's hit the board in both of those, one of which was the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, where he finished 3rd behind Forte and Cave Rock. We all know what Forte's been able to do since the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. And then more recently, in his only start of 2023, National Treasure was 3rd in the Sham. I thought he ran okay in the race. He only missed by a length. He was favored in there. Would have liked to see more. And now he's been on the shelf for just about 3 months. So he's just going to make his second start of the year, where other horses, they have a couple races under their belt so far. The number 7, Skinner, this one of the John Sheriff's barn, was third in the San Felipe. We saw that stretch run. He was one that was also making up ground in the end, but was just third best, excuse me. And I said back there because this horse is going to be back of the pack. Not necessarily last, but he's only probably going to have a couple horses beaten early on and is going to try to make that late move. And for him, it's really going to hope a speed duel occurs on the front end, because that would give him his best chances in this race. Now, the number 8, Mandarin Hero, is the kind of newcomer to the scene, coming from Japan. Has a pretty impressive resume so far, 4 wins from 5 starts and a second place finish. And Kazushi Kimura is booked to ride, which watch some interviews with him. He's really excited for this opportunity. And I know this horse did work out at Santa Anita. You look at the time, 53-3, the slowest of 47 workers. But Kazushi explained that's kind of the Japanese style, that these horses kind of train, I shouldn't say softer, but at least slower in the mornings, and was just getting him acclimated to Santa Anita. So I don't think you can really read into that work too much, but he's a wild card just because it's going to be his first time here in North America. Then the number 9, Low Expectations, rounds out the field. We saw that replay earlier. This one finished second in the Grade 3 Sunland Derby and did race quite nicely. The Beyer, though, wasn't that eye-catching. It was a 76. Prior to that, he got an 88 at Santa Anita when he won. And you look down the page, I liked in the Sunland Derby that he didn't make the lead, because typically he's very keen early on, and he had to show a different dimension in that race. Now, I do think just looking at him, he could be forwardly placed. He's got that outside post position, so he can see what the runners do to his inside and then make a decision, but he should be sharp out of the gate on Saturday. So that is the field of 9. And I think it's no shock here. I am going to go with the number 5, Practical Move, on top. I just think what we've seen from this horse so far, he's been visually impressive in both of those races at a mile and a 16th. I'm not worried about a mile and an 1/8. And I think in terms of trip, he should sit the trip in here. Now, other horses to mention, I think the number 3, Go Rocket Ride, we're going to see an improved performance just in his second time going long. I liked what he was able to do against Practical Move last time out. And then from there, I was torn between 2 horses, the 6, National Treasure, and the 7, Skinner. For me, I just gave a slight edge to National Treasure based on his style of running. I think Skinner always going to have that work to do late, and he's really going to need that pace scenario to develop on the front end to have a fighting chance in the race on Saturday. But for me, we'll see what the number 5, Practical Move, can do in Saturday's Santa Anita Derby. Good luck.